thinking about a needle without freaking out and building that tolerance up, seeing one without freaking out, being able to have a conversation with me or your wife or anybody else without freaking out, building that up. Those are all great strategies. Because obviously the needle, like you said, it pushes your stomach into your chest. It changes your physiology immediately. It changes your state. It changes your mental outcome.
Dude, I need actions and stuff that's going to fix this. Like, I thought I'd just share that with you. I doubt you have any input on it, but if you did, feel free to share.
Your strategy, you've tried a lot of different strategies, it sounds like. I mean, my first thought is you're talking through it and saying, hey, I want to come up with a daily program. Put yourself in a different state, right? Tony Robbins is big on changing your state to change your mindset, change your emotions, change your thoughts. Say, for example, when you're pumped up exercising, take out the needle, put it there, have it somewhere you can see it for a couple of minutes first. So if that's the first step, so that you can see it and you're in a different state because you're pumped up from exercising. Change your state. Don't be in the state where I don't even want to do that. You're going to feel that same way. But don't be in the, hey, you know what? I'm just kind of watching TV and let me go fuck around with the needle. It makes me think of Tony Robbins. I don't remember the exact details. And he always kind of relates this story about when he started. He'd be on the radio to people and he'd, hey, bring your most challenging patients that have phobias and fears and I'll get it fixed in 10, 30 minutes. Yeah, he relates this story of a lady who had this fear of snakes. This psychiatrist was going to bring her down because he didn't believe that Tony Robbins could break this person of the fear of snakes. And she's been seeing this guy for 7 years but basically brought this person in, goes through these steps, and finally then gets to the point where she's not freaking out anytime he just randomly yells out snake as he's asking her questions, having conversation. Because this idea is basically you introduce that fear. Of course, he has to have a snake ready to prove to everybody that she can deal with snakes. And then she brings a snake out. She's kind of freaking out again about it. So it gets to the point where she can now hold the snake. And this is all done in 20, 30 minutes. But the idea is Tony's talking to this person and putting them in a different mental state before he shouts out snake, before he shouts out the needle, so that the person gets used to the idea while they're in a different state. Because obviously the needle, like you said, it pushes your stomach into your chest. It changes your physiology immediately. It changes your state. It changes your mental outcome. Change that first to something that's the positive. I can do this. I'm Paul. I'm the warrior. Then you would say, that thing's fucking me up. And then, okay, this is it. To your point with changing this as an exercise, it may not be 5 minutes at a time. It might just be 30 seconds. It may just be you sitting there visualizing it or you watching it, like you said, where you can see it, where you have a picture that you can pull up and be like, nope, that's just a needle or whatever the case is, where you can feel like, oh, there's a difference where maybe my stomach isn't pushing into my chest. It's just uncomfortable. You have to actively be doing something to change it. And maybe it's you exercise with the needle, or you can see it where you're like, no, I'm in a state where I'm doing this. And I use that anger at the needle. Fuck you, needle.
No, and I agree. I agree with that. And actually, that's a good add-on to what I'm doing, because that's the point where I'm at. I need to do something.
But I think you got some good strategies to write those down so that you know what you're doing on a daily basis, 5 days a week.
To the point. That's why I'm removing the meditation, because that's why I'm putting it on the action document to ensure that I'm taking actions and different strategies and drive it as a goal.
If you want to just focus on strategy, you can do that, right? You already had ideas. I gave you several ideas of what you can do. Sheena can probably give you a ton of ideas in terms of what to do. It's an interesting idea, like you said, with the toothpick, poking around, doing all these different things, thinking about a needle without freaking out and building that tolerance up, seeing one without freaking out, being able to have a conversation with me or your wife or anybody else without freaking out, building that up. Those are all great strategies. You know what I would also add going through this is this idea of the strategy, the story, the identity. If you create a new strategy, story, and identity to tackle this phobia, I think if you do all three, you're more likely to be successful